And I think you'll learn that me in the morning ain't as funny as me in the afternoon. So I'm all business brass in the morning till this Coca-Cola kicks in. Our good friends at Coca-Cola. All right, couple of little items I want to discuss. Number one, we have a new member to rules, Senator Kay Kirkpatrick. Welcome. Glad to have you. Next thing, House members and anybody else that doesn't understand Standing Rules Committee. Standing Rules Committee is like any other committee where we have to pass a bill out of here, has to get out of here to make it to the general calendar, and once it's on the general calendar, that's when it would be available to be picked. Well, actually, it has to make the consideration calendar, but it's not eligible till it makes the general calendar. So only bills we are taking up today are on the agenda. If your bill's not on the agenda, it doesn't mean your bill's not available. It means that's not what today's meeting and committee is. All right, so tomorrow at 12:40, what time? 12:30, like I said, 12:30, we will be having that meeting. So if you're here to have your bill picked, you're in the wrong place. All right, that's order of business. So if you are not on this agenda, you do not need to be here, unless you're on the committee. You need to be here. All right. With that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. And you know what? I think we're going to final week. Let's do some prayers. Who's looking like a good prayer? The Undertaker. Would you lead us in a word of prayer?
I'll be glad to. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you again for another beautiful day. Thank you for the many blessings and opportunities you've bestowed upon us. Dear Lord, please be with us and give us courage and patience and wisdom to carry out the people's business. Bless our men and women in harm's way and our law enforcement as they go through every day. In thy name we pray, amen.
Amen. And before we get rolling too much, I want to recognize former Senator Mitch Seaball. Senator Seaball helped me get my start in politics, so y'all can blame him for all my transgressions, or some of them anyway. Thank you for being here, Mitch. We have a great lineage of senators here from Coweta County, Skin Edge. His grandson, Mitch Seaball, and I'm his grandson. So that's how that works. All right, first up, we've got SR 431, Senator Harrell. This is a study committee, late arriving study committee. Again, committee members, just keep in mind, this just gets it out of here into the general calendar, but it's still up to your decision. Go ahead.
Good morning. This is the Senate Impact of Social Media and Artificial Intelligence on Children and Platform Privacy Protection Study Committee. I'm not sure exactly how that name got invented. I know my kids were fundamentally changed by the addition of social media and video games into their lives. And I know there are probably thousands of children who are being harmed by social media every day in Georgia. And losing their innocence. So this is a really important committee. There's a lot of momentum going on this area, both in Georgia and nationally. So I think that the state would be greatly helped by doing this study committee during the interim. Thank you.
We do have a substitute. I believe you just changed the days. Is that right?
Yes, you asked me to change the days from 5 to 4.
Yes, that's correct. All right. No questions? I got a motion over here from my vice chairman, who's looks like he's ready to go. Got a second from Senator Ann Retarde. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimous. on the rules. All right, next up, I've got, and we are going to go in order, best I can anyway. Senator Halpern, are you with us? There you are. SR 476.
SR 476 would create a study committee so that we can get a deeper dive into what is happening with our waivers and the flexibility that we've given schools. All but 2 of our 181 school systems are using them. And so it would be, I think, great for us to better understand how they're being used, why they're being used, and the impact of their use, but particularly around how certain waivers might influence student outcomes and or teacher retention, which are topics that we are really singularly focused on in our work.
Any questions? All right, no questions. All right, I got a motion over here, do pass from Senator Amber Tarday. Got a second from Senator again. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next up, we have Senator Dixon with SR 489. Do what? It's not a mulberry bill. Huh? It's another study committee. Anybody know anything about it? Here we go. So, creates the Senate Study Committee on Inclusive Educational Settings for Students with disabilities to examine the data and benefits of inclusive educational settings for students in Georgia. Are there any questions? All right, now would be the appropriate time. I got Senator Kirkpatrick, you're recognized.
Move to pass.
Got a motion do pass from Senator Kirkpatrick. I got a second from Senator Williams. That's her first motion. We don't haze on motions though. All right, maybe her first pick. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries unanimous. All right, moving on. We've got HB 14, Representative Casey Carpenter.
Such a pleasure to be
My
here this
good,
morning, folks.
long-time friend.
No question about it. I thought about you this weekend. I was down in Athens. They had a little close the street off band party down in Athens.
I
I
saw
thought
some
about
pictures
you, so.
from that.
Super cool. House Bill 14 is now strictly focused on establishing the statewide music office under economic development. I'm not sure. Hadn't seen the version you have in front of you. This thing has
We
been
got a copy right here.
7 different things of Sunday. So
Copy, but you're right. You're exactly right. So this originally was the cornbread bill. It is now the music thing.
It was a lot of things. It took a lot of transformation to get to here. We came out of the study committee we did a few years ago. I believe you had it in rules last year as well. So, any questions?
That's my
Thoughts?
job. Thought I had y'all trained by now.
Untrainable.
We talked about this in 1995.
My wife will confer with you. Untrainable.
I told you in 1995 in Panama City, if I ever became rules chairman, do not try to take my job from me.
I don't want your job. It's a lot.
You apparently forgot. That was.
Wouldn't be the first time there, Mr. Randy.
You're not recognized. All right. Any questions for the former author? No questions. What's the will of the committee? I got a motion do pass from Senator Ginn. I got a second from our President Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimous. Who's carrying this for you?
No, I don't know yet. I didn't know it would get this far, so let me tell you. I'll let you know by the end of the day.
We'll make a decision.
I figured you would.
Are you? Oh, Senator Cowser's carrying this, I believe. Is that right? Yep. That'll teach him not to show up for a meeting. He actually is, because he was carrying it originally, so that'll be fine. All right, moving on. We've got HB 105, Representative Will Wade, not with us. Let's see, 105. Senator Hatchett here. Or Strickland. Senator Strickland's not here. Nobody's here. All right, I'll tell you, we're going to come back to that one. All right, Representative Petrie, HB 117. It's our shrimp bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Cornbread to shrimp.
So this is a substitute, House Bill 117. And Mr. Chairman, this bill is pretty simple. This is all about transparency in what consumers are eating in restaurants. This bill simply requires that menus in restaurants prominently display if they are eating foreign imported shrimp. And if I could digress for a moment to speak to why this is so important to us, there are several reasons. 94% of the shrimp consumed in this country today are foreign imported. That is unfortunate, because we have the cleanest and the safest fishery in the world in this country, and it has been destroyed, as those of us who represent the Georgia coast know well, by dumping of foreign imports. Those imported shrimp have famously been found to have a great deal of concerns in them, particularly antibiotics. That is because they are not wild caught like they are off the Georgia coast. In fact, they're not shrimp like we have. They're pond raised in shallow pits, largely in third world countries. They are fed antibiotics because they swim all day in their own feces, and they have to be fed antibiotics to keep them well. And those antibiotics have oftentimes are found to be in these products are being sold to consumers. FDA inspects 0.7% of those shrimp, and they still have exponentially high return rates. We sent back 81 lines, shipments of shrimp last year alone, because of antibiotics in them. And so this is all about transparency. People can eat shrimp from anywhere they want. Most of our shrimp is coming from India and Vietnam and China, by the way, oftentimes with forced labor. But people can eat what they want. It's a free country, but they should know what they're eating, and that's what this bill is all about, Mr. Chairman.
All right, in the sub, it takes out beef and chicken was added.
That was added in a Senate committee, sir, and that has been removed from this substitute. This has the
correct.
full support now of the Georgia Restaurant Association.
So
Who,
we can
if they
have
are here, they can
Chinese
speak.
beef and Chinese chicken.
Yeah, our real
Another
issue is we don't.
Another day.
Those aren't our challenges. It's seafood that's largely being imported.
Understood.
Chairman.
I like Chinese chicken at Kung Pal's. General Tso's actually my favorite. Do we have any questions from the committee? Senator Dolezal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. The last line of our summary here says that this requirement does not apply to establishments operated by state agencies. So one, is that still in the bill?
Yes, sir. That's in the bill. That came from the departments who, particularly our mental health institutions, our state hospitals and things of that nature, wanted us to add that this is a commercial focus rather than institutional.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator, for the good question.
Senator Robertson, you got a question?
Yes, sir, real quick. So would our Department of Corrections still be purchasing this if our those held there are being fed shrimp?
No, so the institutional settings would not be subject to this.
Well, that's my thing. So they would still have the opportunity to purchase shrimp from outside of the United States for our folks to consume?
Yes, sir, and to be clear, every commercial establishment in the state will still be able to purchase and sell shrimp from anywhere. They simply, if they're selling foreign imported shrimp, must make that prominently known on menus.
Okay, thank you.
So everyone can continue to buy, and they will continue to buy foreign imported shrimp because that's largely where they're coming from.
I read the book on where our groceries come from, and I would never want to eat foreign shrimp, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Leader Gooch, you're recognized for a question.
More of a statement. Let's hope that the Department of Corrections doesn't serve shrimp to the inmates. Do they really? Oh, boy. Maybe we need to amend the bill.
Yeah, they have lobster on Fridays.
Appetizer.
All right, let's stay focused. We got a lot going on.
motion. Let me do that.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna take a motion from the man from the coast, my vice chairman.
Thank you.
Got a second from the man up the river from the coast, Senator Anderson. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And my vice chairman, you carrying that bill?
I am.
Knew you were.
Shrimper.
All righty, moving on.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Next up, we got HB 129, Representative Chaz Cannon.
Good morning, Mr.
Favorite veterans.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee of House Bill 129. You've seen this bill a few times, saw it last year, passed the House, got to the Senate, just got hung up on signing a die, passed the Senate this year, same version of the bill. It allows some flexibility in the Cuba statute for folks to lease farmland that are non-family farms.
All right, and we got a substitute, and this substitute is reinstating the post-film production tax credit. That bill was originally passed in 2017, and it sunset in 3 years, which causes problems for data collection. There's actually, we've come out with recommendations from the Senate that any tax credit should have a sunset of 5 years. And so this, it was originally in a bill that had that was reinstating the tax credit with a sunset. Now in that version, it was tripling the tax credit cap from 10 million to 30 million. And then it was also allowing films from out of state to utilize the post-production as long as it was done here. So what we've done in this substitute is it does reinstate it, but it leaves the cap at 10 million, and it still has to be Georgia films. So there was never a fiscal note on this. We actually in 2022 tried to extend the sunset. It passed the House at 140 to 25, and then it passed the Senate 50 to 1, and then got caught up in sine die, and eventually just didn't get called up because it had a bunch of other stuff on it as well. So that's what this does, and when the sunset ended a couple of years ago, one of the larger post-production companies went from, I believe it was around 75 employees, immediately down to 40-something, maybe 46. And one of our largest post-production companies in the state has already said that once their lease ends, they are leaving unless this credit is reinstated with the sunset. So we literally, an entire industry is at your hands. So that's all it does. Any questions? Yes, sir. Senator Hofstadler.
This bill didn't go through finance. It was economic development.
Correct.
Is that where it went to? And,
That is correct.
And this is different from that one, but did that one fail in that committee?
So what happened, the bill passed out of the committee without, Senator McLaurin had made a motion, and he had come to me and said that he misunderstood what the credit was doing, or what they were attempting to do in the credit. So, but yes, that did come out, and it's, but
So it
it's.
came out without the credit in there then?
That is correct.
Okay.
And it has, but it has come out with it in on multiple occasions. So, and when we've said that everything every credit deserves 5 years, and then we only gave it 3, that's a disservice to an industry, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. And I don't have a vote on this committee, unless y'all tie. So, Senator Amortardi, you got a question? All right. Are there any other further questions before I entertain that? Senator Anderson, you're looking at me kind of funny. Okay. I got now's appropriate time. All right. We got a motion to pass from Senator Amortardi. I got a second from Senator Anderson. I'm gonna do a show of hands on this one. All in favor, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, all opposed? All right, what are you two doing? Senator Rhett, Senator Jackson? You're 4. All right, I got 1 no, Senator Hofstetter. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that, Senator Sam Watson's carrying that bill? Yes. That doesn't change. All right, where's my agenda? All right, moving on. HB 571, Representative Brad Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 171 aims to amend existing laws to address distribution of computer-generated obscene material depicting children, enhance penalties for offenses committed with the aid of artificial intelligence. Very similar to SB 9, which passed the Senate chamber, and this is the companion version of that legislation.
Okay. Are there any questions for that version? Senator Robertson.
You say it's very close to the version that passed the Senate. Can you tell me the biggest difference between the version that passed out of the Senate and the version you're presenting today?
It adds Senator Harrell's language into it. It's specifically in lines 40, which I think was a good addition to this, and I can read it specifically, lines 46 through 54. And that's probably the major change between the two.
What does the major change do to your bill from its inception? Does it keep it moving in the right direction?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to ask a tough question.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
We do that in the Senate.
All right, are there any other questions? Do you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. What? Question, Senator, again, you're recognized.
You know, I always look at when somebody says obscene, I think that's a community standard, isn't it? What's your definition of obscene?
Being that there's kids that are watching this video, I don't know if I want to go necessarily into that description, but be happy to talk with you on it offline.
I think that's one of those things. Maybe my lawyer friends can explain it, but I think it's a community standard, is it not?
What is?
The definition of obscene.
It's the Miller test. It's 3-pronged test on the Miller test. He's got the same Miller test.
Okay.
I think SCOTUS said you know it when you see it, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was looking at the lawyer. Hold on.
It's all on you, John.
All right, Senator Dolezal, you're recognized to answer that question.
So the Miller test, which I think was from 1979, if my memory serves correct, is a Supreme Court ruling that outlines a 3-pronged test of what defines obscene, and he has mirrored that language in lines 27 through 34. So it essentially establishes the Miller test in state code as well.
Does that answer your question, Senator, again?
Yes, thank you.
You're good? You can sleep easy tonight? Okay.
Lock it up.
All right, what's the will of the committee? Or wait, first off, are there any more questions?
Motion to pass.
All right, I already got them. Hang on. I've got a motion to pass from Senator Dolezal. I've got a second, an anxious second from Senator Ginn. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. All right, motion carries unanimous.
The Senator Still will be carrying it in the Senate.
Senator Still will be carrying in the Senate. All right.
Thank you.
Make that change. All right. Dr. Hawkins, you are up next with HB 197. How you doing today, my friend?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This 197 deals with the code section referring to communications between the provider and insurer. Unfortunately, we have a few insurers that are requiring a peer-to-peer call, a neurosurgeon there in Gainesville, has told me that, and has testified that 30% of her cases now are requiring a peer-to-peer call. These calls typically happen in mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and she's in surgery 3 days a week. So personally, I've had those, and when I call back, I cannot reach the person. I'm put on hold, and then they call back another week, and sometimes I actually want to tell them, I say, yeah, we got Ben in here, and his wife Susie wants him to have a root canal for his birthday. That's the reason we're doing this procedure. But anyway, you will see in the middle of this bill on the second page, it refers to a impending callback telecommunication system, whereby the call time will be arranged with the insurer and the provider. So this speeds up access to health care.
Kind of like GISPA. I know what Senator Harvin was doing. All right, question, Senator Robertson?
When you're ready for.
Well, hold on, there's a, if you look at LC 461247S, Senator Kirkpatrick, your language from SB 5, was it? Was added. If you'll cover that portion real quick.
Sure. Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. This Section 2 adds the text from Senate Bill 5, which we passed previously, that requires the insurers to have a fast-track program for people that are doing prior authorization correctly, and not controversial, and it was fine with the author.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any questions for the author or Senator Kirkpatrick? Hearing none, what's the will of the committee? I got a motion to pass from Senator Robertson. I got a second from Senator Anvitarde. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we've got Senator Kirkpatrick, you're carrying that bill? All right, good deal. Moving on. Senator Washburn, Representative Washburn, sorry. Tried to promote you. I did, didn't I?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members
Yes,
of the
sir.
committee. Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to thank you for recommitting House Bill 225. Appreciate you doing that very much. House Bill 225 reverses the law that was passed in 2018 that allows these school zone speed cameras to operate in Georgia. Although that bill was well-intentioned, it has proven to be abusive to Georgia citizens. The conservative estimates are that over $200 million in fines have been issued, and of that, over $50 million of that money has been put into the corporate pockets of these out-of-state camera companies. And so I believe the best thing to do with this is to ban them completely. There is conversation about trying to fix it, but I believe that we owe it to the citizens of Georgia to ban these out-of-state camera companies. I believe if we allow them to stay, they will continue to do what they have been doing through deceit and trickery. And, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to yield for questions, but I respectfully ask that the committee pass this bill out with no amendment.
Sure. So just to be clear, your sub is not banning immediately. It's basically putting a sunset for July 1 of 2027. So that would be the, I'm sorry, you're right, 2028. So it's a sunset in the program. So just curious, what's, all that money, quote unquote, revenue generated is coming from people speeding in school zones. What do you see as the solution there?
Well, first of all, Mr. Chairman, there's overwhelming evidence that these tickets are being issued outside of the flashing lights. Usually when somebody sees a light not flashing, they assume that the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is not enforced. What they don't understand often is the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. And so it's a breaking ball, it's deception. They see the lights not flashing, and they're not concerned about that, and so they go through, and then they receive a ticket in the mail for $100 later.
75 first offense.
Well, in Bibb County, it's $100. They are adding another $25 to it, apparently.
So that's a small percentage of tickets given. The large amount is people speeding in school zones. What is your solution? If we're going to take this out, do we just want to let people speed in school zones? Should we put a police officer at these signs and be radaring people and them not out in the streets actually fighting crime? What's your solution?
Well, Mr. Chairman, first of all, I respectfully disagree that the tickets that are being written are people speeding through these school zones when the lights are flashing. The evidence is overwhelming that they are ticketing people outside of what they think is the time to be slowing down. There's also never been evidence that there was all sorts of problems with speeding in school zones. Many of these schools there are no kids walking anyway. And the public overwhelmingly finds these school cameras to be extremely unpopular. And if we do the math, if there's been $200 million in fines issued, if you divide that by $100 for convenience, that is 2 million citations in Georgia. 2 million. And I find it hard to believe that there are 2 million Georgia drivers recklessly speeding through school zones every day. This thing is a business that rakes in money. Henry Ford said, a business that produces only money is a poor business. These people don't provide any jobs. They don't provide any service. They don't provide any goods. They simply abuse Georgians by unfairly ticketing them
When they speed
and
through
raking in
school
money.
zones. Okay. Question, hold on, Senator Ginn was first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm curious, Representative Washburn, if this is the plague that we're looking at, why do we extend this out to 2028?
I was not aware that there was a substitute like that. That is the first time I've heard about that.
Okay, and then the other thing is I recognize that the cameras do have an effect on getting people to slow down, whether it's hitting them in the pocketbook or not. And one of the things that, to me, I understand the need for keeping traffic slowed down when kids are coming to school or when they're going home. And to me, I would ask I know you might not be favorable to it, but that's the intended effect of what we do in school zones. And I'd like to see that we do it for an hour in the morning and an hour when they leave in the afternoon. And outside of that, make them illegal. And I don't know if, what your thoughts are on it.
Senator, again, just real quick. So the House sent us two bills. One was to ban and one was to reform. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to send them a bill that reforms and a bill that bans. This is the bill that bans.
Okay.
The reform bill is coming later.
Thank you.
So that'll help answer that up. All right, Senator Jackson, you're recognized. Okay, Senator Robertson.
Yeah. Representative Washburn, I appreciate your tenacity on this subject. I really do, and I think it comes from a good place in your heart. But to some of your statements, and I will point out that you did not answer the chairman's question as to what the solution is. I've got 6 children in Muskogee County that have been hit. 4 have died in school zones where children walk to school. And that's primarily in neighborhoods of children of color, where they walk to school, where they live close to the school. So speeding through school zones is a problem in Georgia. DOT puts out some raw data that say crashes in school zones is a problem. And the other part of it is when they write them in the morning, you're right. They write tickets of individuals doing 11 miles an hour at least over the 25-mile-an-hour posted speed. If the locals choose to leave it on during the day, then doesn't it revert back to the normal speed? And then they're driving 11 miles over that speed. And so I just want to be perfectly clear, as we went through this process, and we have spent a tremendous amount of time looking at the bills that were sent over here for this. While we agree that these generate revenue, I would challenge you that you and I walk past hundreds of people in the hallways every day who work for businesses whose job is to make a profit. And so it's not one particular group in this building that does that. And we push back against that every day. But I think for us to be very clear as we go through this, like the 5 hours of subcommittee hearings we had on this subject, we need to be extremely honest and extremely transparent about this. I feel the energy coming from the chairman every time he mentions school zone. Look, if somebody, as I mentioned it, and look, I'm absolutely sick and tired of everybody when they come to me to argue for or against. Those who argue against, usually within the first sentence, it's, my wife got one of these, I got one of these, my friend got one of these. Look, there were 2 of these in my house, and we did a really unique thing with it. We paid them, because obviously my wife or I were driving a car and we were going too fast through a school zone. I don't care if it was 7 in the morning or noon. We were driving too fast going past the school in Harris County. And so I just want to make sure as we move through this process, we be very transparent and not let our personal opinions affect what we do in this building. But thank you again, and I appreciate your compassion.
Mr. Chairman, there were a number of questions there. Do I have the privilege of briefly answering them?
The only question that I gave there is that you did not give an answer to the chairman's question of what the solution is, and I'll end it with, is that not true?
Mr. Whip, that is what I was attempting to do to ask the chairman's question. I'm sorry I got off track there. Obviously, we controlled speed in school zones long before these school cameras came into Georgia. There are ways to do that through road design, through having a policeman there with a flashing light, or other notifying people of how fast they're going. There are many ways to do that without the deceit and trickery. Mr. Whip, you're my friend, but I resent your implication that I've been anything but transparent here. I have been working on this for months. I have heard from people all over Georgia, and I do not believe I have been anything other than transparent. 2 Atlanta TV stations, WANF and Fox 5, as well as the Middle Georgia newspaper, have done extensive investigation into this. And the people are not wrong. And the polling we've done says 75% of the people believe these cameras are deceit, trickery, and legal thievery. And yes, there are a lot of people in Georgia that make a lot of money, and that's a good thing when you deliver a good or a service to do it. I'm in the real estate business, and I'm still working and making money. But these camera companies are out-of-state companies. The design is deceit and trickery. The design is to rake in millions of dollars. I represent the people in Georgia, not a bunch of out-of-state camera companies, and my constituents want these things banned, Mr. Whip.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Sure.
Let me be really clear. I represent the 200,000 people in my district, and everything I do hits on 11 million others. I am not a real estate salesman. I'm a public safety professional, is exactly what I am. And when I come up here, no one is confused about how plain I speak. That may be a hindrance, but it is the reality of how I communicate. And what I'm telling you is public safety is number one. You can call it trickery and deceit. I don't like these things. They're not my favorite thing, but you have yet, and parking a patrol car in there with a blue light, to my friend who happens to be in real estate, that is not a solution. We cannot take resources out of the community and sit them in front of every school every morning and every afternoon. The property that these cameras are on do not belong to the school systems. They belong to the municipalities or the state of Georgia. And so that's why the DOT is involved. That's why the Georgia Department of Public Safety is involved. And that's the reason that the processing is the way it is. But here's one thing I do. When I come up here, it's the will of the Senate and the will of the House that determines what lands on the governor's desk. I will not be swayed by, media. They don't love me, and I'm never surprised why. But the problem is my personal opinion is through this. When I read an article in the paper, and within the second line, it discussed a sponsor of a bill having received a citation, my antennas go up.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Listen, I'm not going to debate back and forth with you. I'm happy to have a conversation with you.
We're going to move on. I got a question from Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my understanding the author is not familiar with the rationale behind the sunset. Is there anyone who can speak to the reasoning behind the sunset, the length of time that it exists? Just want to know where that's coming from.
So let's be very clear. The state doesn't mandate these cameras. The state allows locals to determine whether they need these cameras or not. And so when we did that, when we first passed that law, we did create an industry, literally created an industry. And if we're going to end an industry, there needs to be time to ramp that down.
Isn't it also true that we've found that over time there are fewer and fewer tickets that come from these machines because people learn that they get a ticket and they slow down, so they're less profitable anyway?
My understanding is that there's only 9% of ticket holders that get a second ticket, and only 2% get a third ticket.
Wow.
So, Senator Robertson's in your 9%er. Your family, congratulations.
Somebody in my house is a 9%er.
So the stats say they do work. So I mean, I will push back a little bit earlier when you said they don't provide a service. They clearly are. If you're talking about 2% recidivism on third tickets, so there is a service provided, and that service is it slows people down without having a physical body present to do them. But anyway, with that being said, Senator Ambertardy, you got a question?
No, I was going to do the same thing as Chair. Motion.
All right, well, before we get into that, Senator Harbison, you got a question?
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure, you mentioned that there's a reform bill that's coming behind this one.
That is correct.
Okay, I yield.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still confused about this sunset. Is my bill being considered as is?
No, your bill is we're working off of LC 394808S. And what that does is says that no governing body can enter into a contract after July 1 of 2027, and then the entire industry will sunset on July 1 of 2028.
So that gives them over 3 years to continue to operate?
Almost 3 years, that's correct.
Well, I obviously disagree with that, but certainly I'm not on this rule standing committee. So
Well, you don't have to call it back up when it comes back over.
I will probably do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, what's the will of the committee?
I'll make a motion to pass LC 394808S, just make sure we know which sub we're voting on.
All right, I got a motion to pass LC 394808S. I've got a second from, wait a minute, back up. I got a second from President Pro Tem Kennedy. He had asked to make the motion. So, how about on the next one? All right. Mercedes, remind me. All right, further discussion. I got a motion and a second. Senator Gann, you're recognized for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure which one makes the most sense for me, but if it would be in approval of the chair, I would make a motion to amend LC 394808S to change July 1, 2028 to July 1, 2026. Cut off 2 years, but I don't know if that's in order or
It
not.
would be in your best interest to withdraw that motion.
Okay, I didn't make a motion. I just asked if it was possible.
You're a committee member, you have that right, but I would suggest not doing that. All right. Question has been called. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? All right, I got 4 noes. Senator Rhett, Senator Jackson, Senator Jones, Senator Harbison. Okay. Motion carries. Congratulations. You've been revived.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Senator Robertson, you're carrying that bill, correct?
Glee.
Are you going to vote for it?
I don't know. I gotta read it.
All right, moving on. HB 233.
Thank you, Mr.
Representative Townsend.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Chair.
honored.
This is the original Brunswick Stew Bill. I'm reading from LC 394749S. It has added some ingredients since the original stew bill. Ingredients include, well, first, the Brunswick stew is historical and economically important to the coast, and specifically Glenn County, Brunswick, Georgia, and Glenn County. And I appreciate my Senator Mike Hodges being here as well. We added cornbread, so Casey Carpenter is happy about that as the official bread of Georgia. We added the
Syrup.
yes, sir, syrup to it as well. That's Lehman Franklin's original bill. Added that. It coincides with the National Day of corn syrup, of syrup. And the last piece, which was important, enthusiastically added as well, was actually closing a loophole with adversarial countries. It will block adversarial countries from having a third-party contract. As soon as I heard about this, I said, please add it, and it was added, and I really appreciate economic development adding that to this bill. So that's really also really calling out China and the Communist Party in China. So I enthusiastically added that, and that is the bill. This is important to Brunswick and Glenn County, of course, and I appreciate your favorable consideration or any questions at this time.
All right, Senator Kirkpatrick, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you for bringing the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, I don't see anything about, I see a lot about syrup and sugar cane, but I don't see anything about not putting sugar in your cornbread. Was that your intention?
That's probably a Case and Carpenter question. I think it depends which side of the gnat line you live on. And no offense to my folks who live on the gnat line. I love it, that area. But
Can you put Chinese sugar in it?
you can do what you want, Mr. Chair.
All right. Senator Robertson?
Trying to interpret your testimony, does this mean that the Chinese cannot sell Brunswick stew?
If they really wanted to buy some, I'd let them spend their money, but they couldn't take it back with them. you
Okay,
know.
thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Hold on, Senator. Oh, parliamentary inquiry. State your inquiry.
So, Mr. Chairman, would it be fair to say for foreign adversaries, no stew for you? Like the Sioux Nazi?
I'm not going to say what just came to my mind.
You know, when it originally started off, Mr. Chair, this was a good bill for Brunswick and the state of Georgia. Now it's a good bill
Still
for the
is.
nation. And now it's a good bill for the nation.
See, that's how you present a bill. All right. Senator Anderson, you're recognized.
Representative, I mean, we go from syrup to Brunswick stew to cornbread. Why don't you put some pot liquor in there too?
We didn't talk early enough.
We need to look at that.
All right. What's the will of the committee? Got a motion to pass from Senator Anna Senator, second from Senator Anderson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job. We got Senator Hodges still carrying that bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got a little heavier. Moving on. HB 254, Representative Buckner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay. 2026 will be the 250th birthday of America. Just a little history lesson. We were the 13th colony in the colonies that fought against Great Britain to get our freedom here. And there is a group that has been established on the national level called America 250 Commission that has donated to the state of Georgia a bronze historical marker that they would like put on the Capitol grounds, just like all the other 13 colonies. The process in Georgia is that we have to pass it through the General Assembly, and then it has to go to the Capitol Arts Commission for placement to decide where to put it on the Capitol grounds. And that is all this bill does. except it also puts one at our archives. So we were able to get one for both locations donated to us. There's no cost to the state, and it just is to recognize the 250th birthday. We were 13th colony, and
we were founded by who?
founded by, well,
Who?
Oglethorpe was our founder, yes.
As a debtor.
As a
and
debtor
prison
colony.
That's
There were
correct.
3 things we didn't allow in the beginning. Slavery, distilled spirits, and attorneys.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
So,
All
I
right.
understand there is a
And
substitute.
Senator Ann Retarde, you brought a sub. Would you like to cover your portion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, basically all the sub does is add the Honorable Clarence Thomas statue to be placed within the Nathan Deal Judicial Center.
Okay. I think that's self-explanatory. Are there any questions on either portion of the bill? No questions? All right, hold on. I got a motion from Senator Robertson. I got a second from Senator Anderson. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Senator Harbison, what's your vote? No? Okay, we got one no. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Got a vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that, who's carrying that?
Senator Burns.
Senator Burns? All right, we got, Eccles was carrying it, is that right? Oh, they messed that up. All right, Burns. Senator Burns, good choice, good choice. The Moses of the Georgia State Senate. Hey, I was something to shoot for. I mean that with nothing but respect. I'd follow him to the promised land anytime. All right, moving on. We are on HB 377. Representative Leverett, there you are.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
77, good morning. Go ahead.
HB 377 is a bill that tries to encourage workforce housing by addressing the perfection and maintenance of security interest in manufactured housing. It is identical to Senate Bill 119, Senator Goodman's bill, which has passed both Senate and House and is on its way to the governor.
Okay, and just to be clear, I believe Senator Setzler was working with you on some language, but I think he's decided to lay down on that, so there's no need for this bill anymore.
Well, I thought that was on a different
Was it?
bill, but I may
Who's Senate
have
Bill
bad
51?
information.
Is that you? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Wrong bill. Mercedes, that's your fault. I'm just kidding. All right, go. Senator, again, you want to cover some changes?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Currently, the way that the substitute LC 473698S stands is it's the verbatim language of Senate Bill 51 that Senator Setzler carried in the Senate. It passed by a vote of 54-1. It's allowing local governments to choose their professionals based on the qualification-based selection.
Got it.
It's the exact same.
Yes, question for Senator Jackson. Yeah, I didn't have it in mine either. So LC 473698S.
Here's a copy. I got an extra copy if somebody needs one.
I didn't actually. I didn't.
It was
have it
it
either.
was in my folder. I'm not sure.
It's okay. We were scrambling this morning. Oh, I did have it. Do you have it? Do you need it?
So what are we doing with it?
Cover that again.
The basically stripping out 377, House Bill 377, and putting in Senate Bill 51, which passed out of the Senate 54-1. It was Ed Setzler's bill on qualification-based selection.
And Mr. Chairman, I did not speak with the senator, but someone did speak with me on his behalf about doing this. Senator Setzler made changes to another bill of mine, so I was confusing it with that one.
Got it. So I was right.
I think he's been adulterated and didn't know it.
No, let's not go there. Senator Robertson has a question. And
Representative Leverett, I like the sub, but is there any other bill that you're aware of that reintroduces your provisions regarding the manufactured homes and
It's good man's bill.
Well, that Senate Bill 119 was identical to the original House Bill 377, and 119 has already made it through all the way.
Okay.
We
Good.
passed
Yeah,
it
he
out of the
stated
House on
that.
the 25th, I think.
I was just wanting to make sure that
So we
were
wouldn't
clear.
need to reenact
Right.
that language.
Good. I was just wanting to make sure that everybody understood we were able to do that. I think that was extremely important for workforce housing.
Yes, sir.
Was my concern. Thank you for your help on this.
Absolutely.
all right, Senator again.
I believe that was Senator Goodman that carried that Senate bill.
That's correct. That's what he stated.
And he was to carry this one as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Is everybody clear enough? All right. What's the will? Are there any other questions? All right. What's the will of the committee? All right. I got a motion to pass from Senator Robertson.
Second.
Got a second from Senator again. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimous. All right, Senator Goodman still carrying that as far as we know?
As far as we know, but I have not inquired, Mr. Chairman.
Understood. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
They want me to carry it.
Okay.
Now that it's been adulterated.
Okay. Got it. Senator again will carry that bill. All right, moving on. We've got HB 445, Representative Martin. You were here earlier. Where'd he go? All right, that bill's already passed and made it to the general calendar. We've sent it back here. You should have a sub. We're adding in, let me find the sub real quick. Make sure we're all working off the same thing here. All right, so 50126.8S is what we're working off of. And this is language actually came from the majority whip of the House working on, that's Representative Burchett. He originally was working on a tax credit for generators. And what we saw in our areas that were hit by Helene, specifically in he had one gas station with a generator. And so so they had obviously there was a rush on gas and other supplies, and they had some major issues. Now, I believe he has changed that to not the actual generator, but to the plug, the special plug that, and someone else probably can explain that part better, but there's a certain voltage plug that you'd need for a generator. So the credit would go towards that and not necessarily the actual generator. Parodies. Transfer switch, that's it. See, that's how you made it here. So lines 138 through 140 is emergency power generation components, means the transfer switch or switches required to connect a generator to a facility in order to provide electricity during utility power outages. So that's what the credit would be for. Is there, Chairman Huffstetler, I know you're not in favor of it. Is there anything we should add, you want to add to that?
No, I think that, I think it's good intentions. I think that it would be better spent. The transfer switch, what that does is, it enables it to be on while the power's off, so you don't send power back into Georgia Power employees, which is what you need on any of these generators. But I do think would be more efficient to have this equipment by GEMA and let them take this equipment to where the disaster is in the state. This just seems a little bit of a haphazard way, but I do think it's a well-intentioned bill.
Okay. Senator Gill. You're
if I can
recognized.
clarify this, the transfer switch is actually put into the wiring of the store. And that allows for disconnection from the electric utility to go to a generator that could be portable and then brought up to the site and plugged in. You hit the transfer switch. Most of the, if it's not a on-site generator, there's probably going to be a manual transfer of that power from utility to the portable generator. If they have a generator on site, it's going to be the actual, probably most of those are wired in with an automatic transfer so they don't lose power for any length of time.
Okay. Senator Roberts.
Yeah, I just want to point out to the committee, and I appreciate Chairman Huffstadler's concern about it being a tax credit. I knew the antennas immediately go up. But I do want to point out in the disasters that happen. I was down in Katrina, and we just went through what Augusta went through and everything. There's a lag time in GEMA to get to where they have to get to transport this equipment, set this equipment up. I think giving the businesses the opportunity to go out there and plug and play immediately, I think giving them this, you're going to have a lot of businesses that are going to go out that do not have generators today and purchase those because of the experience they went through. And it's going to be able to get services back to the citizens so much faster than waiting for a state agency to get out there. Senator Harbison and I share a district where we run through these plans consistently every couple of months or so, and we encourage every business to have their own generator. And I just think this is a positive step in making Georgia more resilient during disasters.
Thank you. Senator Anderson, did you have something?
Is this for existing stores, or is this for stores that will be built in the future?
I believe it's going to apply to all.
Well, I'm
If they
kinda
wanted
like
to retrofit their
Senator
current
Huffstadler.
stores.
I mean, I have mine already set up at the farm. So back when I was in the dairy business, I had to have it in case I was shut down. But I mean, I paid for it myself.
Right. Well, this is going, well, you wouldn't qualify for this anyway. This
I
is
know
only
that, but
for
what I'm
convenience
saying
stores.
is businesses should already been thought about this and have it already set up in the program and in the building to where it could already be there.
Okay. I guess for those you keeping count, Senator Walker, you recognize.
So I think it applies to skilled nursing facilities also.
That's correct.
In addition to convenience stores, and I assume that doesn't have a fiscal note because it's capped at $5 million. But sitting through the days and days of appropriations meetings, trying to, prioritize and having to cut Senate priorities to try to get a balanced budget, I have a hard time. We continue to add these tax credits, Mr. Chairman. Is that not true? We had one earlier in the agenda, I think, extending a sunset on a tax credit. At some point, if we're going to eliminate the state income tax, we got to quit doing this. Of course, if you eliminated the state income tax, all these tax credits would be worthless. But
That is accurate.
but thank
and then
you.
what will we do to attract businesses here?
Have no state income tax.
Well, you'd have a workforce. You wouldn't have a
But,
business to put them in.
I don't know. I'd like to see this studied over the interim myself, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Senator Kirkpatrick, you got a question.
My question is, I'm a little confused about how the GEMA generator is different from any other generator, because you need a transfer switch, having just gone through this, for any generator, whether it's portable or not. Is that not correct?
I'll let Senator again take that one.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime you're putting a generator you need to disconnect from the utility. And one of the things, just so everybody understands, I think the rationale here is this hardens Georgia. We don't know when our next storm, next hurricane's coming in, but if you know what your gas gauge is on your automobile, unfortunately, you go out here and look at most of the public, they're probably down in that lower echelon of how much gas they got in the tank. storm comes in, they don't have access to fuel, they're trapped, they can't get away from the storm. And this is one of the things that, whether it's a skilled nursing facility, and I'll let the doctor address that, but for me, it's just allowing people to get access to fuel and food. And that's where I think it's a good bill, and it's a good use of resources as a tax credit, because that means they're actually, there's a expense that somebody's going to do.
All right, we got to get moving. We got about 20 minutes before we hit the floor. What's the will of the committee?
Motion to pass.
I got a motion to pass from Senator Robertson.
Second.
I got a second from Senator again. All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed, same. Motion carries 10-5. Keep your hands raised, please, so we can get everybody's name. I got Dolezal, Walker, Huffstetler, Jackson, Anderson. Okay. Motion carries. Moving on. All right, we got HB 454. Representative Gaines, you're with us. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 454 is titled the Vince Dooley Battlefield Trust Act. Creates a program through the Department of Natural Resources that would allow matching grants for entities to try to preserve some of our historic battlefields. What the rules sub does is it just takes it back to exactly as it passed the House.
Okay. Any questions for the author? Or the
Goes back to the House.
It goes back to the House version. The House sub. So the motion would be to pass LC 590113S, should that be the will of the committee? Is that right? That's the pink. Yeah. Okay. All right, any questions for the author? What's the will of the committee? Got a motion to pass from the majority leader. I got a second from Senator again. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries unanimous. Moving on.
Thank you.
That's Senator Calzert carrying that? Okay. All right. We've got Representative Prince on 483. You gonna take this, Senator Burns?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll speak for my good friend, Chairman Prince. Originally, House Bill 483 was a good bill that I fully support. It dealt with provisions of protecting inspectors, code inspectors, from assault, battery, various penalties. So I fully support that. I went and had a conversation with Chairman Prince and explained to him that I needed to add some language to his bill. It's Senate Bill 74. With further discussions, Chairman Prince asked that his language be removed, and so what I'm working from now is Committee Sub LC 492400S. Committee will recognize this as the exact language with one modification to Senate Bill 74 that was passed out of this body on March the 3rd. The vote was 32 to 23. We had 17 co-sponsors on this bill. This bill is the library exception bill. It would remove the library exception for providing harmful material to minors. There's no profession, no other profession in Georgia that is exempt from any Georgia code. So simply put, if you look at the substitute, you'll notice that in lines 14 through 16, that language is struck, 1612-104. It's reserved. The one change that was made actually came from recommendations or suggestions out of the House committee when we went through the House committee on this, House Committee of Judiciary Non-Civil. On lines 22 and 23, we had, let's start with 20. Let's look at lines 20 through 23. Notice we inserted the word knowingly, which was in the original bill. But then in 22 and 23, we reduced the first offense to a misdemeanor, with second and subsequent offenses being a misdemeanor of high and aggravated nature. You will notice that we also provide in 24 through 28 an affirmative defense for library workers. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay. So essentially, we're looking at SB 74, which the body already passed with
Correct.
a few changes.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions? No questions? All right. I've got a motion to pass from Senator Anderson. I got a second from Senator Dolezal. All in favor, raise your hand. I waited. I figured. All right. All opposed, same sign. I got 4 noes, Rhett, Jackson, Jones, and Harps, and Kirkpatrick. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
motion carries. And you got, is this the right one? Are you gonna be carrying this, Senator? All right, Senator Burns is gonna be carrying that. That's Gaines's bill. Okay. All right, Representative Powell, you still with us? Thank you for patiently waiting. Burns. HB 651. No comments about the mustache today. I learned my lesson. This is the second of the speed camera bills. This would be the reform one, not the repeal one. Go ahead, sir.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure to be y'all on the last Monday of this session. I bring to you an alternative solution to the apparent citizen complaints about the school zone cameras. Today you have in front of you 655, and I'll preface, I don't know what's in the bill. It was sent to Public Safety. I never appeared in front of Public Safety. Their meeting was canceled last Friday morning. I understand the bills, both of those bills were transferred to this committee, so I don't know if there's any changes from what left the House. I would tell you that over in the House, it was somewhat unprecedented because of some of the actions. The press and a lot of the public irate about these gotcha type situations, which was never the intention of school zone cameras. But there was 2 bills that were put forth. One that you've already heard this morning that did a ban on those cameras, and before you in the bill that I had sponsored and carried through the House was a fix-up bill. Over the years since 2018, when the school zone camera bills were passed, there had been changes made along the way. Apparently some of the jurisdictions saw these as a way of raising revenue. And I say that because a lot of the criteria behind these have never been met. You know, the original bill limited the hours. They're not supposed to be, these school zone cameras weren't supposed to be used after hours of school nor any other time, only during those particular hours it was set forth. Now, what this bill does, it sets definite times. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, surrounding the time that the schools come and go into their session. We put a 10-mile-an-hour variance on these. Currently, under Georgia law, we have a 10-mile variance on radar, and that's an old standard that has gone for years. The only ones who can run radar at the exact speed limit over, and that's the Georgia State Patrol. Because of a lot of the local governments, it's been the history of this General Assembly that we had a 10-mile-an-hour variance. We thought that would be a proper thing to do, to put a 10-mile-an-hour variance to unify the laws in this state, whether it be cameras or whether it be speeding on the public roads. Flashing sights, flashing signs. Right now, there's supposed to be signage to spell out. This carries it to the next step. Not only will there be signs, but there'll be flashing signs, and it'll be these signs that you see that gives the speed. Probably the most effective things to tell a driver, whatever their speed is, to slow it down when you're coming into a speed zone. Let's see. It removed from the Department of Revenue. Somewhere along the last 7 years, there had been a section put into this code section that sent, for those people who did not pay those citations, since they're civil citations, it sent that information to the Department of Revenue, and it was placed as a lien on the title of that vehicle.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, just for sake of time, there are some changes in the sub, and I'm gonna let Senator Robertson Can you just quickly walk us through what changes have been made from his bill?
I can attempt to do that.
We're working off of LC 394807S, and if
I am
do you need
reading.
a copy, Chairman Powell?
Just
Okay,
handed me
perfect.
one.
I am reading through this, and I know one of the big changes that was made was putting a lot of these responsibilities back on local municipalities and county governments, since the responsibility of allowing these things in their communities rests on them, and hopefully increase the number of complaint calls to city councils and county commissions and get them off of the desks of senators and representatives. The signage, I believe, is exactly how Chairman Powell explained it. There is something in the bill that removes late fees and reduces, I think, the violations. Makes a violation $75 and removes the $125 for second violations completely out of it. I believe there's a section that says the revenue created by this must be used for public safety related to traffic safety. Should the county decide to use these, let's see.
You got penalties in here for violations.
There's penalties
by
that
the
would.
company.
Yes, sir. And those penalties would be the way the current penalties are for cities that set up speed traps, where the Georgia Department of Public Safety can come in and prohibit the use of certain equipment. And to be perfectly clear, I'm a strong opponent of revenue-based policing, and I think we address some of those. But those are the big changes. I think for the most part, Chairman Powell's bill is remained fairly close to what he presented to the subcommittee that I sat on and chaired. But
Okay.
but that's what I'm looking at right now, Mr.
All right, I
Chairman,
got questions.
briefly.
Senator Beach, you're recognized.
Senator Robinson, Chairman.
Grab a mic.
Yes, Mr. Treasurer.
Lines 125 through 131 talks about revoking a permit and that it goes before the Commissioner of Transportation, and then they have a hearing. Would that go before the full GDOT board, or just the Commissioner of Transportation would have a hearing with the company that's been, their permit's been revoked?
The way it's written, it appears that it would go before the commissioner, because one thing I know you're aware of as past chair of transportation is that Georgia Department of Transportation must approve any equipment or assets placed on the right-of-way. And all of these right-of-ways are subject to the jurisdiction of Department of Transportation. The permitting of the actual technology within the equipment falls to the Georgia Department of Public Safety.
Okay, Senator Ginn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I looked on lines 166, 167, and 168, in a school zone currently, I believe Chairman Powell alluded to it, that law enforcement can actually give you a ticket for going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit in a school zone with radar during school hours. So otherwise they have a 10 mile an hour exemption on that. And what I'm saying is these cameras, I think, they would have to always be deferred to the 10 mile an hour. Is that correct when I'm reading this? Said that so if you were, speed limit's 25 and you were going 26, you're not going to get a citation on this. You're correct. Thank you.
Senator Hofstadler, you're recognized.
This is just a technical question, but on line 13, it says violation of the posted speed limit by 10 miles per hour or more. And then when you go to line 50, it says more than 10 miles per hour. It seems like there's a 1 mile difference there.
I agree with you.
All right, so is that the only catch? So we would just need to strike or more. Well, y'all can do whatever you want, but that would make sense. Well, you gotta have the
Line
or more.
13
You'd have
could-
to add the or
Line 13
more.
could just say by more than 10 miles.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add into that language.
Absolutely, go ahead.
And I don't mean to confuse this issue, and I'm certainly not a lawyer that writes this. Under the current statutes that deal with radar, the proper term is more than 9 miles per hour, which would be 10 miles an hour. That's the reason when you're traveling interstate, there's been a long-standing rule in Georgia that if it's 70, you can generally run 79. But if you start getting over 80 and plus, then you risk being stopped by the Georgia State Patrol.
All right, Senator Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, my question, and I'm not quite sure who to address this to, but the bill that we had, that you presented, had the 1 hour prior to and after school dismissal. And most of the complaints that I've had are from constituents who got a ticket at 10 p.m. or something like that. So does that concern you at all?
You know, there's a lot of things that concern me in this whole issue. But the original language years ago was a two-hour window, both morning and afternoon. We understand that we have some schools that the time for convening is 8:30, which would make it 7:30 to 9:30. Some schools convene at 9 o'clock, which would make it from 8 to 10, and that. But it defines. There's a 2-hour window, both afternoon and evening, not to be after hours at night, not when there's other things going on. Put a clear definition to the times.
Okay. Sir Watson, you got a question?
It does say on line 165, the cities or counties may put further limitations, so they can cut it, but it doesn't sound like they can add any.
To that is part of the agreement between the municipality or the county setting the contract limitations. And I think the big push in that area was, again, to put the complaints where they needed to be, and that would be in the laps of local officials and not in the laps of state elected officials.
My understanding is you've got some municipalities that operate, they do like an hour before school starts and an hour after school starts, and then they crank it back up at the end of the day, an hour before school ends and an hour after. Some schools want to do it an hour before it starts, run it through the school day while the children are in school. And, you know, I think of schools in my area. Now, I've only got one school that has a school camera, but like my elementary school that my children are at is in a neighborhood where the playgrounds are right next to the street, and so they might want to keep it throughout the day should they ever have one. But then you've got others where they're only going to be traffic. I think of like Heard County High School. There's heavy traffic at the high school in the morning and in the afternoon, and it's for like an hour a day. And so it might, if they ever had one, which I don't think they do, it might make more sense. So it puts it complete local control with us setting the guardrails.
And to that, Mr. Chairman, Senator Harbison has Columbus High School in his district, and for the students there to get over to the football practice field and others, they have to cross Cherokee Avenue to get there. So that's some of the issues there.
All right, y'all, we got 5 minutes to get on the floor. So are there any other questions? Senator Jackson.
Just for clarification here, if you look at lines 160, the provisions that these are actually already in code, but what we're saying is that a school can run a camera zone from 1 hour before school starts all the way through the instructional time. So that's all
Correct.
during the school day, and then 1 hour after. And then to Mr. Chairman Watson's, if a local municipality wants to limit that, then we are giving them the freedom to do that.
Correct.
But the standard is 1 hour before school starts all the way through the school day to 1
That's
hour
the
after.
max, not the standard. Yeah.
No, it's during which instructional classes are taking place.
Correct. That is the max they
That's the
can run.
maximum they
but
can
if they
run it.
want to limit it within those parameters, they can.
That's right.
They cannot go outside of those parameters. All right. All right. I'm going to accept that motion. I got a motion do pass from Senator again. I got a second from Senator Anderson. Oh, no. Back up. Your motion's not recognized. Getting ahead of me. I had to deal with Senator Kennedy. What's the will of the committee? We're rewinding. You didn't want that one? I thought you said we had a deal. You want me to go back again? You want me to go back again? All right, Senator Gann had the motion. Let's stay with our original motion. The second was from Senator Anderson. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, motion carries unanimous. Senator Robertson, you're carrying that bill? All right. All right, last up, HB 652, Senator Jones, Representative Jones. Be
Thank you,
brief, brother.
I will be brief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is the sub to 652 LC 394810S. Section 1 effectively changes the effective date of the EV Transportation and Taxation Bill Act to January 1 of 2027. The remaining sections merely just do a definition of exempt special fuel. There's only one of these locations in the entire state. It is a location that does EV charging based on donor money, does not charge, sits in the federal right of way, and was effective as of January 1 of 2025. Mr. Chairman, that's all this bill does.
All right, Senator Goose, did you want to add anything since this is your sub?
I think the representative covered it well. The extension of the 1 year was for the Department of Ag to get the equipment ready. They're working with the with Georgia Tech Research Institute to measure the output of the charging stations. The equipment's not ready. We're still developing it, so we need another year. So thanks for the.
For the record, the leader extended the meeting, sir, not me.
That's right.
Okay. Is there any further discussion, any questions? All right, I got a motion to pass from Senator Breach. Got a second from Senator Robertson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, motion carries unanimous. We got one more.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We skipped. HB 105, Representative Wade.
Are you here?
Thank you, Chairman. I apologize on my delay. Georgia 400 was
Be
fun
quick,
this morning.
because we're about to be out of here.
House Bill 105, this is the third time I've asked for it.
You're not asking for it. We're changing it.
Okay, I understand.
Hurry up.
It's a governor's bill, and Senator Strickland is amending it to add language that the governor's team is comfortable with, and it does not change the indemnification that passed out of the House.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion? I got a motion to pass from the man of public safety, Senator Robertson, second from Leader Gooch. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimous. And Senator Robertson, are you carrying that one?
I'm carrying the,
105?
Todd Jones bill, and if, I'm not sure.
I think Bo Hatchett will be carrying
Hatchett,
the governor's
Senator
bill.
Hatchett. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned. Go to the floor.